Assalamu alaikum dear students, myself Fayaz Ahmad, faculty in the Department of Civil Engineering, IUST, Avantipura. Here we are going to talk about a very interesting area which is fundamentals of surveying, and over the course of all the lectures I will be talking about the methods of surveying. Now our first lecture today is fundamental of surveying, and these are the contents of this lecture. First, the first topic of this lecture is Introduction to Surveying. This includes the definition and the importance of surveying. The next topic is Types of Surveys. After that, Classification of Surveys, Principles of Surveying, Scale of a Map, Stages of Survey Operations, and last topic of this chapter is Accuracy of surveyed quantities. Now, our first topic is Introduction to Surveying. Let us first define what is surveying. As far as the definition of surveying is concerned, it can be defined as the art of determining the relative position of various points on, above, or below the surface of Earth by means of direct or indirect measurement of distance, direction, and elevation. Here underline the word art. Why it is an art? Because only a surveyor who possesses better understanding of surveying techniques will be able to determine the most efficient methods required to obtain optimal results over a wide range of surveying problems. Surveying, although simple in concept, requires skill and practice for doing work accurately and economically. It requires basic knowledge of various disciplines such as mathematics, physics, and astronomy. Now, because we are studying about the surveying, we should know the importance of surveying, or why surveying is so important. Now, we know the first stage in all the big projects is generally to survey the area and to produce plans. Also, construction of modern buildings, dams, bridges, tunnels require accurate surveying. The success of any engineering project is based upon the accurate and complete survey work. Now our next topic is types of surveys. We have two types of surveys. First, plane surveying, and second, geodetic surveying. Let us first define plane surveying. It's a type of survey in which the curvature of Earth is neglected and is assumed to be flat surface. Plane surveying can be safely used when one is concerned with the small points on the Earth's surface and the areas involved are less than 260 kilometers or so. In plane surveying, the angles of polygons and triangles are considered as plane angles. Also, for the majority of engineering works, construction bridges, for the layout of railways, highways, plane surveying is the first step. Now our next topic is geodetic surveying. These surveys are conducted when the surveys extend over the large areas or the degree of accuracy required is great. The curvature of Earth cannot be ignored. Geodetic surveying is generally adopted to locate the widely distant control points for different surveys to be conducted in between these points. It requires the use of very refined instruments as well as the method of observation and adjustments. Now our next topic is classification. Surveys may be classified in the variety of ways. Classification based on the nature of field of survey, classification based upon the object of survey, classification based upon the instrument employed. There are further subdivisions. Let us first define or discuss the classification based upon the nature of field survey. The first topic in this classification is land surveys. These surveys are conducted to determine the boundaries and areas of tracts of land, also known as boundary surveys. Hydrographical surveys or hydrographic surveys. These surveys are conducted on or near the water body such as lakes, rivers, bays, harbors. These cover a broader area near the sea, offshore structures, navigation and tides. Next is astronomical surveys. These are conducted for the determination of latitudes, longitudes, azimuths and local time. The next classification is classification based on the object of survey. And the first topic, what are archaeological surveys? These surveys are conducted for unearthing relics of antiquity. Next is geological surveys. These surveys are conducted for determining the different strata in Earth's crust. Next is mine surveys. These are conducted for exploring mineral wealth such as gold, coal, etc. And fourth is engineering surveys. These are conducted for the determination of quantities for design and estimation of project. Next classification is classification based upon the instrument employed. It includes chain surveys, compass surveys, plane table surveys, theodolite surveys, tachometric surveys and photogrammetric surveys. These surveys we are going to discuss in detail in our next lectures. Let us first define briefly chain surveying or chain surveys. This is the simplest type of survey in which the linear measurements are taken with the help of chain or tape. Chain survey is generally used where the high accuracy is not required. Compass surveying are conducted to measure the horizontal angles with the help of magnetic compass. Third is plane table surveying. In plane table surveying, a map is prepared in the field while viewing the terrain after determining the direction of various lines and taking the linear measurements with the help of tape or chain. The fourth one is theodolite surveying. A theodolite is a very precise instrument used for measuring horizontal and vertical, both horizontal and vertical angles. Next is tachometric surveys. These surveys are conducted for determining topographical details. And last in this topic is photogrammetric surveys or photogrammetry are conducted for the topographical mapping of the vast area. Now the land survey may be further subdivided into the following cases: topographical surveys, cadastral surveys and city surveys, and engineering surveys may be further subdivided into reconnaissance survey, preliminary survey and location surveys. Now first, topographical surveys. These are conducted for determining the natural features of a country such as hills, valleys, rivers, nalas, lakes, woods, towns, villages, etc. Cadastral surveys in which the additional details such as boundary of fields, houses and other properties, pathways are determined. City surveys are conducted for laying out the plots and constructing streets, water supply schemes and sewers. Now, engineering surveys may be further subdivided into reconnaissance surveys. These are conducted for determining the feasibility and rough cost of the scheme. Next is preliminary survey. These are conducted for collecting more precise data to choose the best location for the work and to estimate exact quantities and costs. Location surveys are conducted for setting out the work on the ground. Now is principles of surveying, the most important topic of this lecture. The two fundamental principles upon which the various survey methods are based are working from whole to part and location of a point by measuring from two control points. Now let us discuss first working from whole to part. The main purpose of the surveying whole to part is to localize the errors, as working from the other way around would magnify the errors and introduce distortion in the survey. This can be achieved by covering the area to be surveyed with the number of spaced out control points called primary control points, whose pointing have been determined with a high degree of precision using sophisticated equipments. Now, the second principle, that is location of a point by measuring two control points. It is always practicable to select 2 points in a field and to measure distance between them, and these points can be represented on paper. Now these points, also known as reference points, can be represented on paper, and the other point, say D, can be located by the following methods. Let AB be the 2 given control points, and another point D can be located with the reference points by one of the any following method. First, rectangular coordinates. Because we know the distance between A and B, to locate the D in this method, we have to draw a perpendicular from D to D and measure distance AD or measure the distance BD. Next is trilateration. In this method, the D point can be located by measuring the distance BD and AD, and the intersection point of these two distances will be the point D. And next is polar coordinates. In this method, one angle is measured, say angle BAD and the distance AD, or you can also angle can be measured ABD and the distance BD. The next method is triangulation. In this method, the two angles, angle BAD and angle ABD, as shown in figure E. Now the fifth tenet of this lecture is scale of a map. Let us first define briefly or simply the scale of a map is the ratio of map distance to ground distance. Remember the ratio of map distance and the ground distance. For example, if a scale is shown like this, 1 centimeter is equal to 10 meter. This means or this implies that 1 centimeter distance on the map is equal to 10 meter ground distance is equal to the 10 meter distance on ground. The scale is also expressed by means of a regular fraction whose numerator is invariably unity. The fraction is called representative fraction. Take the same example, 1 centimeter is equal to 10 meter. The representative fraction of a scale is written as 1 is to 1000. Now, the sixth topic of the lecture first is stages of survey operations. The entire work of the survey operation may be divided into 3 distinct stages. First, field work. Second, office work. And third, care and adjustment of instruments. Let us first discuss the field work. It consists in taking the measurements for detailed recording, field notes and setting out of works. Office work, it consists in preparing maps, plans and sections for the data collected in the field and also calculating the areas and volumes and designing the various structures. Care and adjustment of instrument. The surveyor must be thoroughly familiar with the instrument which he or she will be called upon to use. He must know the methods of testing and adjusting the instruments. Delicate and very costly instruments such as theodolite, level, EDM must be handled with great care and accuracy. And the last topic of this lecture first is accuracy of surveyed quantities. Surveyors' primary objective is to achieve accuracy in their measurements. Also, survey is of little value if it is not accurate. With this, I conclude the lecture first, and for the better understanding of this subject of surveying, I will recommend you the following books.